And I remember telling my girlfriend, Lola at the time, if I'm with Bill Hader, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
Some weeks passed and I got the sides and I saw the character names. And
Yeah.
I burst into tears.
That's awesome.
It was crazy. And started laughing maniacally because I was like, this is impossible. But it was true. So I went and spent half a day on set.
Now we're rolling. Because you're a singer.
I'm a jazz singer.
You're a jazz singer.
I'm a crooner. Actor. Not a dancer.
Not the triple threat.
Not the triple
as we
threat.
deduced.
I can fake it, but
So we'll just kind of start from the beginning. We've not seen each other before this in
oh boy,
probably since 2004.
Yeah, we went to elementary school and then we went to
separate high schools.
Separate high schools,
Yeah.
but same kind of circles.
Yeah, it was the same neighborhood still, but you knew people that I knew and vice versa.
It's true.
And then, but we haven't really crossed paths apart from little social media interactions in a decade and a half. And then I saw you on a giant screen while I was at the movies, and I was like, I should give this guy a call and see what's up.
Thank you for noticing. It's just gone so quickly.
Yeah, but I don't know. When your face is that large on the movie theater screen,
yeah,
next to Bill Hader, it's noticeable.
I got kind of lucky. We just went a few weeks before the movie came out to this is It Chapter 2.
Yeah,
relatively part in it. We went to a cast and crew Toronto screening with the director Andy, but we were in the theater. There was 3 different theaters it was playing, and there was like an AVX and a regular. And
did they do that in Port Hope?
They shot it in Port Hope.
Because I knew they did a screening for crew and stuff in Port Hope.
This one was just at the Scotiabank Theater downtown.
Oh, okay, cool.
And we got put in the IMAX theater, so my face was double the size.
Gargantuan.
Yeah, I was like, I already have a big head. This is fantastic. But yeah, it was such a crazy experience.
Mm-hmm. How, like, I mean, it was a small scene.
It was a very small scene.
But
up until that point, I hadn't, when I first booked the audition, I went in there and it was no information about the film. You didn't know what you're auditioning for.
Okay.
I had to walk in as a theater PA and say 60 seconds, and that was it. Take some information, and I was told it was going to be a walk and talk.
Yeah.
And up until that point, I hadn't had an audition in maybe like 9.5, 10 months.
Oh, shit.
So I walked in there and I was like, all right, I don't
see what's happening.
Yeah. I just totally developed something that I didn't have before, which was not caring. I mean, caring, but not caring at the same time.
Yeah.
Which took me a very long time to get to. So I went in there and then I did it. And then I found out like about 3 months later that I got it, and it was for It Chapter 2. And I remember telling my girlfriend, Lola at the time, if I'm with Bill Hader, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I want. And then some weeks passed and I got the sides and I saw the character names and I burst into tears.
That's awesome.
It was crazy. And started laughing maniacally because I was like, this is impossible. But it was true. So I went and spent half a day on set. And
how long ago was that, though?
That was last summer.
Okay, so over a year ago.
We shot at the Elgin Winter Garden. And another stroke of luck, the other actor in the scene with us who plays Bill's manager, his name is Jason Fuchs. And he is a writer as well. He wrote the Wonder Woman script.
Oh.
And so I got
the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman?
Gal Gadot Wonder Woman.
Shit.
So I got put in a green room with him.
Nice.
And he was writing on the film as well. So the director, the producer, everyone was coming in to go over script changes. And I got to like be introduced and talk to everybody. And it was just kind of an extra side to things. And talked with Jason all day and he was fantastic.
Yeah.
Had such great advice for me. And, you know, it was...
So was he just kind of like cameoing for fun,
just
basically?
having just to play Bill's manager kind of thing. But it was just a really crazy day where I just kept thinking to myself, no one's caught me yet. I'm here.
This seems to be
Did they get it wrong?
This seems to be a recurring thing that comes up is the imposter syndrome we all seem to suffer from.
That's every day.
Where I'm like, when I'm on some big project and I'm just like, I don't deserve to be here. I'm not qualified to be here. Why did someone think I should be? Like, it's weird that we punish ourselves like mentally for this, like for our successes.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the same time, I'm pretty sure that everybody is full of shit everywhere and has no idea what they're doing 99% of the time.
100%. 99% of the time.
Yeah. But yeah, so like you booked that. Like, okay, did you actually like do like a blocking and rehearsal with Bill, or did he just kind of
come in? We did a couple run throughs of it.
Yeah.
And it's a very short scene. I think I can talk about it. So anyways,
it's out.
Yeah, he plays a stand-up comedian in the film.
Yeah.
And basically we're going from a hallway scene, him going to the stage and doing his stand-up.
It's basically his intro scene. Like it's
his intro scene.
Very first scene with him.
I very gingerly asked Jason, I was like, what are the chances of this being cut? And he's like, oh, this is Bill's intro scene. You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
I was like, thank God.
They'd have to do like a full reshoot, basically.
Yeah, get a new
change this.
We don't like the way he said 60. So we did a run through. We did it actually a number of times for a very short scene because Bill was throwing in improv and doing different things, and I was just a fly on the wall. It was really cool.
Because I love Bill Hader, so like that also made me just stoked when I saw you like literally walking next to him. Because like he's amazing in Barry. He's one of the most like talented, like funny people
to come along and S on a long time.
Yeah,
like him and Phil Hartman probably I'd say are like two of the biggest geniuses.
Yeah.
When I first met him that day, it was near the end of the shoot, and I could tell he was just really tired.
Oh, so it was like later in the production schedule?
Yeah, this was like near the end. And it was a really big movie for him, and obviously he's doing Barry and so many things going on.
Yeah.
So I just I said hello, and then I went
you don't want to fangirl out. And be
also, I'm like, I have one line. What the hell am I going to do? So it wasn't until later in the day we were both standing in the hallway, and I was just there minding my business, and he came up and he started to talk to me and ask about, what I do. And I said, a jazz singer, an actor. And, he told me about the first movie role he had where he was a valet and he had to hand an actor some keys, so there's a bit of banter like that, but he was incredibly, incredibly kind and nice. And yeah.
Yeah, he's got a production background too. I know that.
Yeah, he was a PA.
Yeah, he was a PA. And
that's what I said. I was like, "Do you have any advice for me?
Yeah,
I'm playing a PA today."
Yeah, because he was he worked as a PA. He worked as a post-production PA for a while. And then basically just I think he did kind of what I did, where I just was like, I hate having a job, so I just quit and instead tried to do my own shit. I'm not acting, but
I'm sure you.
But if I can find a comparison for me and Bill Hader, I'm happy with it.
I'm sure you saw it, I think, but it was he did a really great podcast on the Kevin Pollak show.
No, I haven't.
Oh, check it out if you can. It's everything you want.
Yeah.
It's great.
So you've done some other stuff too, though, on camera, because you were in Murdoch.
So Frankie Drake Mysteries. So it's the creators of Murdoch. It's another show. It's a 1920s detective series set in Toronto.
Why did I think it was Murdoch Mysteries, or is it just because it's so kind of closely
it's very
related?
Similar. Same family.
Maybe I saw like a clip or pictures, and it was a little while ago.
Yeah.
And maybe I just assumed based on the costume style and Canadian production, I was like, must be Murdoch Mysteries.
That's what most people think. But yeah, it's a fantastic. I think they're in their third season now.
Okay.
And it's a wonderful, amazing cast of all strong female leads.
Sweet.
And set in 20s Toronto. So I played young Al Capone in one of the episodes. And the whole episode was leading up to this Al Capone figure. So it was young Al Capone. So it was before syphilis, and he was
before he blew up into a
So it wasn't a stretch, and it was just a short scene. It was like a couple minutes, but it was an incredible experience. That was the first union gig I had booked.
Oh, okay. So after you joined ACTRA, and
I joined ACTRA with that, and then the next thing I got was at Chapter 2, like a year and a half later.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a bunch
decent
of
little
different steps
progression.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, is that a bit of a challenge too? Like, I've talked to union actors, and it's that like once they sign into the union, they get put up for much bigger things that are potentially considerably more lucrative.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the pool of projects in which they can work on gets really limited, which can kind of fuck with people's hopes with their career a little bit.
100%. Yeah. I had an opportunity to go union a couple times before, but I turned it down because I didn't have a lot on my resume. So I stayed in the non-union place and got a couple different really cool things.
Yeah.
And then I made the jump when I got Frankie Drake. But yeah, there definitely is less opportunities. But I've just gotten really lucky that the last two things I've done are pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the last one on the resume, it looks pretty darn sweet.
How often are you auditioning for union stuff then?
For instance, I haven't had an audition in almost 3 months now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that kind of by design, or are you selective? Like, is
it's
that
just, no.
agency,
it's just the way it's kind of going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and my agent is fantastic, Terry Ritter at Ritter Talent Agency. I'm not saying like she's not working hard. She's working extremely hard. But these periods come and go, I found, and I'm totally fine with it now because something like Chapter 2 can come along.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we do get a lot of bigger budget shows and movies coming
Hollywood
through
North.
Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah, with the Pinewood, it's the largest soundstage in North America.
Yeah.
Now.
It's gargantuan.
It is incredible.
But then, like, you get one big American production that rolls through here and takes up like 3/4 of it.
Yeah, I know.
For like 6 months.
Yeah.
But I mean, like right now, just off the top of my head, I think like Titans gets produced here, like DC Titans.
Yeah. Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, Yeah, that's what's got a ton of Pinewood right now.
Yeah. I walked through a Star Trek set on my way to check in for Chapter 2. It was
really
funny. Yeah.
They've been shooting for a while then, because I don't think it's been released yet, has it? I'm not a huge Trekkie, so
not Picard. It was the Discovery series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was walking by sets and I was like, should I just walk in and look at the show? This is fantastic.
Just fake it till you make it. Just wander in and
space.
Well, actually, when Paige Flock was out here, she did a one-off on What We Do in the Shadows, because that's also shot here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like tons of production comes up here. Probably because our dollar is shit. And we're cheaper labor.
And we also have probably the top 3 crews in the world. Everyone loves working with Toronto crews.
Yeah. They're all just happy to
they're just happy for work.
Get the work.
Yeah.
But so like the union stuff can be a bit of a challenge in terms of like locking in these auditions, and your pool of potential work is limited. But like what else have you done prior to signing into the union? Like what were you doing to? And you're a jazz singer and an actor. Like, what do you try? Like, what's your kind of hopeful main focus?
Well, I kind of, when one thing isn't grooving, I just groove the other.
Okay.
So the past while for me has actually been mostly music.
Mm-hmm.
For the past 2 years, I've gone really, really hard on the music side of things, and acting's popped in when it has.
Mm-hmm.
For me right now, my thinking is acting is such a crapshoot.
Yeah.
The opportunities don't come along very often. I've been very lucky to get the last couple of things I have. So when something comes along, I'm going to be ready for it. But I'm not going to push my way into trying to get something going when it's so out of my hands.
Yeah.
Music for me right now, getting gigs around the city and writing my own music has been my thing that I can control and work towards. And I think they both fit into each other and help each other out in different ways, the singing and the acting. But it's only been about the past 2 years that I've really been doing my singing.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I called myself a jazz singer. I've been singing since I was in high school, but I haven't really been doing anything about it.
Like professionally, or
I lived at home for the longest time, and I had a little recording studio in my closet, and I'd release rinky-dink backtracks on YouTube, and I do the occasional private gig to backtracks and all that kind of stuff. But it's only been the last 2 years that I've really, really, really been doing it.
So like, what's the process for that though? Like, are you do you have a band you play with, or other artists, or? I was doing, there was 2 things that led me to this new sort of path. So I was doing these, burlesque shows. Okay.
I was only singing.
No.
They were vintage burlesque shows.
Yeah.
And I would croon, and then the girls would dance, and there'd be sequences, and then I'd come out again. It was like sort of host thing.
Yeah.
And through the creator of that show, they were doing a vintage prom in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And so every year they do this vintage prom. Adults come, they dress up, it's prom, they have a great time. And there's vintage acts. And so I got booked as the jazz singer with this band that came in.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the first time I met them about 2 years ago for this vintage prom. And I kind of said at the end of it, like, can we do something?
Yeah.
Like, I've never really sung with a band before, and I'm feeling like this could be something. They're like, yeah, man, sure, whatever. Give us a call. And so it was a process of starting to try to put together a demo and message different clubs and places. And I met my partner Lola at the time, and she just sort of gave me this incredible energy and passion, and she pushed me hard and she encouraged me. And so together we really went out and tried to get gigs and talk to people.
So is she a part of like trying to book this stuff?
She's definitely a part of it.
Cool.
She's a pastry chef.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anything she does with helping me get everything together is just because she loves me. So yeah, and then I started getting some gigs, and I messaged the guys who I performed with at Vintage Prom, and then it just sort of snowballed into this thing where we were booking a lot and getting around town. And then I started writing my own music. Lola's dad he's the MP for Timmins James Bay. His name's Charlie Angus.
Okay.
And before he got into politics, he was in a punk rock band. And so
I can
music
relate.
was his whole life. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I still have that little CD.
Yeah.
So when I first met him, and he loves Sinatra and all that kind of stuff. Can I say shit?
Yes, you can. You can absolutely swear.
Fuck. Thank you. Okay. So he loves that shit. So he started working with me, and we developed some songs together, and he kind of got excited, and it was his, away from politics time. So we started developing ideas together. And then I had a lot of song ideas in my head. I can't really play piano. I can't really read music too well. But my piano player, Ewan Farncombe, is one of the best piano players I've ever seen, and one of the best piano players playing anywhere currently. He is just an absolute genius. So what I do is I get the song in my head, the melody, the lyrics, I write it all out. I take it to Ewan.
Yeah.
We sit down. He hears it once and then just starts.
It's all good. Everybody does it at some point.
Starts playing it like we've been playing it for years.
Yeah.
And so over the past year and a half, we just did a gig last night, Ewan and I, and we performed 22 brand new songs.
Holy shit. Like original
tunes.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
and it's all jazz.
It's all jazz. Right? There's some funky stuff in there, a little bit of groovy stuff. But yeah, so my main band I play with is Ewan Farncombe, Scott Hunter on bass, and Eric West on drums. And we went into the studio this January, Canterbury Studios. It's a really, really nice studio downtown run by Jeremy Darby, who's like a master engineer. He's worked with everybody. And we have this debut album for myself that's comprised of 12 songs, and 11 of them are brand new songs, originals, that I've wrote with Charlie or with Ewan. So I think what we're trying to do really is like open up a new chapter of the Great American Songbook. Like a lot of those old classic songs that everybody associates with jazz and crooners, they stopped being written after about 1960 or so.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a while. And a lot of people who are singing jazz now, there's a little bit of new music, but a lot of it's just going through these old standards over and over again.
The old covers. And,
which is okay, and it's what I will always sing to some degree, but what I've found now is my sets are comprised of brand new music, and then I have 3 or 4 old classics that I put in, and they stand out more because of that.
Yeah.
I'm not just doing all standards, so it's like, this is the part of the show where I sing like Embraceable You, and I tell people why it's special and why it's important to me.
Cool.
And then I do some original tunes, and then it sort of feeds into each other.
I sat down with an R&B singer here, Del Hartley, and
Del's fantastic.
Yeah,
he works with that's who you're mentioning before.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So Aref Mahabadi
Okay.
Has directed a few of his music videos.
Oh, okay.
And Ref and I just did a jazz doc.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So sorry, continue.
No, that's see, this is what I mean. It's like a small world.
Yeah.
It's a small business, but a big business because everybody knows everybody in some capacity. That's very funny. But he said kind of the same thing when he does his performances. He is often doing a ton of original stuff with these like, again, different genre, but sort of the hits in like covers in at various points, kind of strategically placed throughout his set.
Absolutely,
because it kind of when you're performing original music, at least like my experiences back 10 plus years ago when we were doing it a lot, is most people don't know your music, and the people who are there that do know you want to hear specific songs that they know. And that's kind of the problem with trying to break into a market of music with original music.
Absolutely.
Or original tracks, is because people don't know it, and it just can kind of sound, even when I listen to a band I like and I know all their stuff already, when I hear new music, it's like, it's almost like approaching it with a bit of apprehension. You know what I mean? Because like, I don't know this one. I don't know this track.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. It doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, or when like they're playing a new song that hasn't been released yet at a concert, and you're like, I've never heard this song before, and it's
you don't know what to think.
I don't know how I feel about this. But I mean, so this is what I was thinking about before you came out here. Is we went, like, I remember that when we were in elementary school, you were always a fan of like classic jazz music.
Yeah,
like you were a fan. And to me, like being a stupid kind of judgmental teenager, I was like, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And now that
people in high school thought I had an old man fetish. And I'd like to tell them that they were right.
100% accurate. Yeah. I mean, but like now that, you know, I'm a mature, well, semi-mature adult in some capacity, I fucking love that. And I think it's so cool because it's like you had this like passion for so long. And, you know, a lot of people might have, as kids or something, tried to like hide that because of out of fear of judgment or whatever. Yeah. And you were kind of just like, yeah, fuck it. This is what I'm into.
I played Frank Sinatra at that grade school talent show.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, but still, like, but I was like up in a punk rock band, and it's like kind of, I was like, this is cool. Like, it's so weird that he likes that stuff, but it's like, I mean, I'm not the hugest jazz fan in the world personally,
that's totally fun.
I appreciate it much more, and I love that. Like some people are that passionate about it. Like it's a whole genre of music that deserves just as much love as pop, rock,
of course,
R&B, rap, whatever.
Absolutely. It has been a part of me for a very long time. When I was 2 years old, my dad, who's a massive jazz fan, started taking me to jazz clubs in Toronto. So I grew up at like, you know, the Top of the Senator or the Montreal Bistro at like, you know, 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, when there was still smoke in the air.
Inside.
And I was just like 4 listening to like, you know, Oscar Peterson or Diana Krall or, you know, Ray Brown or all sorts of different people. So it started getting into my subconscious, and it was my musical training without even knowing it happening.
Yeah.
So when I started singing, I didn't do lessons. I just kind of taught myself and sort of came out and I learned along the way. But yeah, jazz music has always been a part of me. And talking about a ref again, he approached me about 3 years ago because I was actually a very small part of a Del Hartley music video.
Oh shit, really?
Just like a second and a half. It was my Chapter 2 moment.
That's absolutely hilarious. I did not know this connection between you guys.
So a ref, I worked with his cousin Fareed in a production of Glengarry Glen Ross at Lower Ossington Theatre.
Okay.
And then a ref found out about my jazz singing. He's like, I really want to do some stuff. He invited me to have a little small role in the music video. And then a little while after that, he's like, so I'm directing in my free time right now documentary shorts. And would you be interested if I followed you around and we did your jazz singing? And I was thinking at the time, I'm not doing jazz. I'm a phony. I'm a fraud. I'm living at home and singing into my closet. And so I was like, yeah, man, we could do that. This is fantastic. So that's when
come to my closet.
Yeah, come to my closet. So I started really trying to make a go of it. And that led to everything else. So he's been following me around with an incredible filmmaker named Dan Wood for the past 3 years.
I know Dan's name too, not personally. Like, does he do stuff with Del as well? Or?
I think he's done some stuff with them before. Yeah.
Okay.
And so they've followed me around for the last 3 years, and then Lola and I as well. And so this documentary is finished.
Yeah. How long is it? Like,
it's only 15 minutes. Okay. Yeah. But they've been following me around for the past 3 years. So the documentary starts me at my parents' house in Burlington, you know, singing backtracks and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then getting my first gigs.
Cool.
Then meeting Lola, and then writing my first songs, working with the band, meeting the band, and it finishes with me in January at the studio recording my debut album. And the soundtrack of the doc is my original music, my brand new music.
Nice.
But we talk a lot about where the jazz came from.
Yeah.
My parents are interviewed, and we talk about me at the jazz clubs when I was a kid. But yeah, it goes into so many different things. And I think the centerpiece of it, why do I do what I do? Why have I stuck with it? I got really lucky when I was 6 weeks old. I came to Canada. I was adopted from Romania, from an orphanage.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay.
And
that rings a bell I obviously have not thought of in a long time.
So it's been something over the last while that I've thought about an awful lot as I've gotten older. And I've really been trying to make a go of this career. I'm going to go back someday and really experience and live and deal with that.
Yeah.
But right now it's just kind of getting the career stuff down. But it's really informing a lot about what's going on. A few years ago when I turned 25, I was laying in bed at night, and it was like the first time in forever. I thought, I wonder if they know that I turned 25 today. I wonder if they,
like your
my birth mother,
parents?
and yeah, I wonder if they knew. And then it was kind of after that moment that I really started trying to do something about what I wasn't doing for so long.
You don't know who they are, or
no? I mean, my mom and dad have a little bit of information, and I have some information as well. But yeah, for the most part, the information I know is that my birth mother was around 16 years old, and there was no father, and they lived in a very, very tiny village outside the city. And my mom now, essentially, what happened was my mom and my dad were watching on the news after the dictatorship fell in Romania with Ceausescu. There was an influx of children without homes and places to go. Because Ceausescu had banned all contraceptives. So yeah, there was a lot of people having babies.
Yeah.
And so I was put in this orphanage, and my mom came. They decided they wanted to do something to help. And she toured the orphanages and came to this one and found me. And then my birth mother had one request that she was able to say goodbye. So my mom went out of the city through the forest with this interpreter, went to the village, and then after that I came to Canada.
And you were 6 weeks old?
6 weeks old. Shit. Yeah. It was funny. I came to Canada and people would ask, like, does he understand English? It's crazy. He's from Romania. It's like he's 6 weeks old. He doesn't understand shit.
He's barely a fetus.
Yeah, come on.
That's pretty wild. Like, I mean, obviously you were too young to ever remember any of that.
I remember it all.
Second for second. So was it more that, like, it's just that she likely felt like she couldn't take care of you or provide a quality of life that you could get elsewhere? Yeah.
And I think it's something like 80% of the kids in the orphanages never got to leave. And if they reached the age of 3-ish and they were still in the orphanages, it had irreparable damage to their mental capacities, because each floor ward only had like a nurse maybe coming around once or twice a day. It's like 3-4 kids in a crib. And I was told the only nourishment I had was they had 2 sort of like bags hanging down. One was with like mushed up carrots, and then one was with some hot tea. And it would drip down into the crib all day, and whatever kind of like
Jesus Christ
hit my face was what I got. Fuck. That's still how I eat to this day. But
I just hook up the little tube and just drop mush on my face. That must like, I've, at the same time, like I said, you were so young that it didn't have like an emotional impact on you. But I guess like retrospectively, knowing where you could have ended up,
oh my gosh, it's like really scary.
It's kind of terrifying.
There's this short news documentary on YouTube I saw just a short while ago, around the time when I turned 25. It's like BBC 4, you know, one of those things. BBC 12.
I think Channel 4 UK. That's a thing.
Yeah. And this guy was going to an underground society in Romania, in Bucharest.
Mm.
And it was run by this guy who called himself Bruce Lee. And he was the father to
Sounds
like all
legit.
these kids. Yeah, totally. And he worked on the surface with this humanitarian lady who was helping give food and, you know, help them kind of live their life.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all orphans who never got adopted.
Yeah.
After Ceausescu fell. And 70% of them had HIV, AIDS, other things. They were starving. They were sick. They all lived underground. And it scared me.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really scared me because I totally could have been one of those kids. I mean, the median ages of the people living in this underground society were like 24 or 25.
Mm-hmm.
So that really had an effect on me and really put things into perspective about I could have easily been that person.
Yeah.
And I went back recently when we were doing the documentary and tried to find a little bit more information about how that situation was going.
Mm-hmm.
And the city kicked them all out and closed the tunnels off. So I don't know where they are now.
Yeah.
But
I had a filmmaker friend out here yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done a lot of he specializes in virtual reality and 360 video production. And they've done, like, his company has done stuff for like UNICEF, and they've flown out all over the world. And it's like the perspective it seems that some people get when they see what so many other people in the world live like, you know, like by virtue of being, like, for me, being born in Canada, already puts me way ahead of 95% of the world's population. Maybe not 90% of the world's population. And like, you were just, like, by absolute fluke and luck on your part, managed to avoid what could have been like something absolutely detrimental. Like, and does that sort of like push you even harder to like pursue these career goals because you were like just totally lucky and fortunate to
given a lease on life? Yeah. It has pushed me incredibly, especially over the last 5 years or so.
Yeah.
I can't think of any times in my life now where I'm not really thinking about it when I'm doing something important. Just kind of taking a moment and being like, this is something.
Yeah.
And I really have to not only be grateful for it, but do something about it. But yeah, it is by far in the top 3 things that really push me right now. So I don't know where it's going to lead, but I know I have to do it.
So are you like, do you plan to go back there at some
eventually.
point? Like,
my big goal is to, if I ever got, you know, very successful, would be to do like a documentary and go back. And there are a lot of kids like me who still haven't gone back and don't really know their roots and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a really hard thing to talk about and to face. I mean, my parents told me I was adopted when I was 12 years old.
Oh, so you didn't know until
I didn't know
that.
And then they divorced a year later. So in the span of 2 years.
That's a big kind of an emotional roller
so
coaster.
I started smoking cigarettes and listening to Sinatra, you know, drinking whiskey.
As you do. At 13 or 14?
Yeah. Not the cigarettes or those. Well, maybe the Scott. No, definitely the Sinatra. And I just kind of started developing my way of coping, I guess. And I haven't really stopped since. Do you want to know my original name?
Yeah, I do now.
Yeah. So when I was leaving high school or something, I was getting a SIN number basically. This is when I'm like 21. And I had to have some very official documentation with my name and stuff.
Yeah.
And my parents were like, God bless them, but they really missed the mark on telling me all these things. They're like, yeah, so your name isn't actually Alex legally. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
What's on your driver's license?
They're like, yeah, so we never changed your first name. And I was like, why not? You've called me Alexander my whole life. It's like school, but now like these official documents, they need the deets.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, your name was Sergio. Sergio Papa.
Sergio Papa.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's not like the most It's almost like crooner name,
Sergio Papa.
like Sergio Papa.
Or a mob boss or something. Yeah.
Don Sergio Papa.
Yeah, Don Sergio Papa. So could be my stage name. I don't know. Technically, Alex Bird is also my stage name.
Yeah, I guess so.
So yeah, Sergio Daniel Papa was my name. The Daniel
that's
going over.
That's going in your name key now when I when I make this in the videos. Alex Sergio Papa Bird.
I like it. Papa Bird. So yeah, so then I had to change my name. I came to the form.
Like legally,
I had to go through the name change form. And there was a moment where I was like, I could make it anything right now. Why do I have to stick with Alex?
Yeah.
So I stuck.
But you stuck with Alex. Wow, that was anticlimactic.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, fuck, that's wild, man. Because like you go through this like your whole life. I mean, as meaningless as like a name actually kind of technically is. You go through your whole life with a certain identity, and then it just turns out
Who am I?
Actually,
oh my gosh,
that's just not the case. That's not your name.
The only thing that has never changed about me is my passion for music and my passion for acting and all that kind of stuff.
So you, like upon graduating from high school, where you continued to sing or perform jazz.
And heavily into drama and all that kind of stuff.
So was I, like throughout at my high school, like that's where I made most of my like current friends. I'm still like Scott Law, who
I played hockey with.
Yeah.
I assumed we went to high school and then it just
I guess it would have been
shit. We played hockey.
It would have been during high school years. So
yeah, it totally would have been
that sort of like affiliation.
We played for Lauren Park.
Yeah. But like Scott and I were in the drama program at our high school, and I didn't pursue acting. I more did that just for like an involvement in arts, basically. And then you went to college in Toronto or Etobicoke at Humber.
Yeah, before that I did a year at the George Brown Theatre School.
Okay.
And I learned an incredible amount. It was a really, really tough place to be. But they kicked me out after a year and told me I should do something else with my life. They had
we don't want your money anymore.
Yeah, they're kind of very abusive over there without getting too much into it. Actually, the main acting teacher there was recently taken away for verbal abuse and abuses of that kind. So it was a long time coming, and it used to be a very, very negative place.
Okay,
unless you were their favorites.
Yeah.
So
like just what
they kind of beat you down to be an actor.
Yeah.
And then take it to some places that aren't really acceptable.
I mean, you need to be beaten down a little bit,
but
as an actor,
like, I was just pummeled. Yeah. Anyway, so they said, get out of here, go do something else.
Was it just that they didn't think you were good enough, or what?
Yeah, I just wasn't. And I don't think they really.
That sounds like too pompous.
Yeah, that's basically how it went over there. So I was presented with this option. I sat down. It was in the Distillery District.
Yeah.
And I sat down and I opened the letter that said, "Get out of here."
I was literally there 2 days ago.
There you go.
Yeah, I was at a color correction session. Across the street from the campus there.
That's kind of where it began for me. So I took a deep breath.
Yeah.
And I felt so great. I felt so happy.
Yeah.
For some reason, I didn't cry. I wasn't bummed out. I was like, all right, okay. I have stuck through this program for a year. They told me to leave halfway, and I was like, no, I'm going to stick with this. I have learned an incredible amount of stuff. If not, I'm not sort of registering it yet. I can't really use the tools I've been given. That's all right.
Yeah.
I'm going to have this skill set for the rest of my life. So they can't take that away from me. So this is fantastic. And when I got accepted to George Brown Theatre, I also got accepted to Humber for film acting, but I went the theater route. So,
right. I guess that like theater is a bit of a different monster.
A little.
I don't know why I didn't put that together. No, this was a different type of acting program.
I mean, it's all hand in.
Yeah, but theater is a little more,
a little more
pompous,
a little pompous. Yes, naturally.
Yeah.
So I decided to go to George Brown instead. But then when I got that letter, I said, all right. I looked online. It was 2 weeks to the deadline to get in for Humber. I sent my stuff. I got put on the wait list. I was number 3. And then a few days later, they called me. I went to Humber. I spent 2 incredible years there. And I got the award from the faculty it was the Brian Linehan Award for the most artistic creativity and promise.
Oh.
And it was
That must be a little ego boost.
It was great to go. It was a big old fuck.
Do you just walk
George Brown?
I was gonna say, do you walk back to George Brown? You're like, fuck you guys.
Nah, they're probably like, he's a film actor.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Fucking loser.
There was a little bit of that, but there was also just, I found the place for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was a hard place. It was a wonderful place, but they were super encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that I worked with, my classmates, I learned such an incredible amount from them. And it was a really, really special place to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think very fondly of my time at Humber. And it sort of kickstarted me to keep going with acting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I struggled to get an agent. And then I got Terry about 2 years after Humber.
Mm-hmm. And what year did you actually graduate from Humber?
2012. Okay, cool. Yeah. It might have been 2013 I got with Terry. I'm really bad with dates. It's around then.
Pre-2015.
Yeah. The main point is she brought me on,
mm-hmm.
and then I didn't book anything for 2 years with her.
And that was before you went like union and stuff. So she represents union and non-union actors.
Union and non-union. And I didn't book non-union, my first gig, until about 2 years on the roster, and she stuck with me.
Cool.
Audition after audition. She was just there completely, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I assumed I would have been, kicked to the curb.
Yeah.
After about a year and a half of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then since that point, we're still together, and I've gotten.
How many auditions were you doing back then? Again, when you were non-union, there's more opportunity.
Yeah, I'd probably go at least 1 or 2 auditions every couple of months at least.
Oh, okay. That feels like, I don't know, that feels lower than what I've heard from other people.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
I mean, were you primarily focusing on like television and film, or
it was
commercial work?
Television and film and commercial work as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of hard to pin down, I think. Mm. And that's what my teachers told me when I left Humber. They're like, you're going to do great. It's going to take a while because you're really hard to pin down.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that as a compliment because I've got sort of a vintage look to me, obviously. And I do a lot of period stuff. So I'm not as busy as other people.
Yeah.
And I've kind of expected that. But I've always had something come along and help me out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm banking on. Essentially, if you do something long enough, some things are going to happen.
Yeah.
The problem is you have to be willing to do it and not stop.
Yeah.
A lot of people I went to school with don't do it anymore. And I understand that's a really tough decision to make, but it just shows you like it's tough and you can get to some very dark places.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's acting. It's not as dark as some things.
But yeah. We're not saving lives.
We're not saving lives.
Well, I think
still within your own world, your own bubble. It's if this is what you love and do and you're not being able to do it, it sucks.
Well, I think too, what happens is a lot of people get it in their heads that their career as an actor, or not just as an actor, but as a creative or a filmmaker or whatever, should go one particular way. Mm-hmm. Like they have this idea of what their career trajectory should be. Yeah. And I think that closes a certain number of people off from taking on other opportunities that maybe is not exactly in the wheelhouse that they
absolutely planned
for. So my sister, who also went to Humber, and you've met a couple times, she I mean, she's a 20-something blonde female, and that is a very saturated demographic of actors. Yeah. There's lots of 20-something female blondes.
Yeah.
So
there's only a couple Romanian orphans. I'm pretty sure. It's just me and this other guy. We really don't get along.
But the roles aren't there for the the Romanian orphans. But she started going into makeup as well, like for film and television,
of course.
Because she is like she books stuff. She books like small parts on some non-union shows and has done some commercials and stuff. But she's like, this is another way to just keep working in this industry and work on the set.
Yeah, and make contacts.
Yeah, because she got booked on a non-union sort of docudrama show as a, like, it's a sort of episodic, new cast every episode, new director, whatever. And she made friends with the makeup artist, and then on that one day that she was the featured actress, and then she was back for like 2 weeks.
That's how it goes.
As an assistant makeup artist on the show for made way more money as the
naturally.
Makeup artist than she did as the actor in the show. And that's like, we get like into this like, oh, I don't want to do that. I mean, and filmmakers and stuff are the same way, because it's like, oh, I want to be a director, but it's like maybe you should learn to edit, because there's opportunities in editing that could go into something else, which is what I did. Or you could end up doing sports commercials like I do, despite never having been interested in sports commercials. But it's there are other ways beyond just getting cast to hone those skills as an actor.
100%.
Or like, taking on maybe like going into gripping or lighting, or just being on set and seeing. That gives you an opportunity as an actor to just observe potentially. Yes. Like, and you don't need all the education in the world to get affiliated with those sorts of departments.
No,
but
it's there.
That, and we have very short attention spans, I think. Like, it's like, why is this not happening for me right now, when usually the people who succeed by the time, like, succeed in the Hollywood sense, by the time they're like 25, are the weird anomalies.
Yeah, totally.
Not normal.
I mean, I graduated 7-8 years ago, and I just booked my first feature film.
Yeah. Like I thought I'd graduate film school and start making films and television. Yeah. Which, I mean, I didn't think that around the time I was graduating, but going into film school,
I
thought that
this is what's going to happen.
I was like, why isn't everybody directing feature films? Because it's fucking impossible. You know how many funding applications I haven't gotten?
I'm going to get a Grammy.
When it comes to like you're just going back to like music and jazz and whatnot, realistically, from sort of a business sense of things, is that a challenging market? Because it doesn't have as much mass popularity nowadays as Taylor Swift or Billie Eilish or something. Like, is that something you struggle with too, or is it just kind of...
I don't particularly struggle with it, because I know where the markets are for it. Toronto actually has a really, really great jazz scene. Montreal too. And a lot of places in the States, Europe still. Japan is jazz crazy.
Really?
Jazz crazy. Because in World War II, you used to get the American radio broadcasts.
Okay.
And so they'd hear the big band music. So they are obsessed with big band jazz music.
Still?
They have amazing jazz festivals. They have a Blue Note, the New York City Blue Note Club.
Okay.
They have a Blue Note in Japan.
I would have never ever guessed this.
It's incredible. So I'm booking a Japanese tour. So yeah, there are places for it. I mean, I guess the last person who really came along and did it kind of was Michael Bublé, but he's more radio pop standards.
It's like pop with jazz influence, as opposed to which I mean is fine.
Yeah,
but
I'm doing something a little bit different. I guess the last person who I really look up to who did this kind of thing was Harry Connick Jr. When he started, because he was not only doing the great old standards, but he was writing and orchestrating his own music. He's one of the greatest musicians ever. It's such a wonderful voice. So in Toronto, there's actually, again, a really nice jazz scene, and there's a bunch of different singers and artists, a couple other crooners. But yeah, I really think we're doing something a lot different right now. I mean, no one's coming out with this much original content.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of crazy for saying we're writing a new chapter of the Great American Songbook. That's stupid. But
well, I mean,
that's what we're doing.
That's what you're at the very least trying to do. Yeah.
And
well, I mean, you got to try.
Absolutely.
Like, who else is going
to? and the response we've had so far to this new music has been really, really incredible from all sorts of people. Obviously, people who are close to me, and they have to say that.
Yeah.
But also working with Ewan, Ewan is no bullshit, and he works with everybody, and he's been so sweet about the music we've been making. And then when we go to gigs, I'm finding obviously the older folks like it. We have a lot of young people coming to the gigs and stuff like that, and they're digging it.
Well, Melissa loves going to live jazz stuff. Yeah. Like, she doesn't know the songs, but down. It's like, it's just such a like chill, cool environment compared to like just blasting fucking beats.
Yeah,
or something.
totally.
Because you play at Nolan's
Jazz Bar. Yeah, they've brought us in the past little while a lot. I think about 7 times over the last month and a half.
Yeah.
So
because I used to work like right across the street from there at when Sportsnet. I was working as a freelance editor in house there. I was working basically across. So I'd pop in there occasionally, and I'd been there a few times.
I've been trying to get in there for a long time. Our administrator at Humber is also a jazz drummer. His name's Jojo Bowden. He's fantastic. And he helps book the music at Nolans. And he's the organizer of the house band. He plays drums. So he knew I was a jazz singer from Humber. And I used to go to Nolans a little bit, and they'd be playing, and he'd invite me up to sing a number. And I was always like, that was great. Do you have any openings? You know, that kind of stuff. But again, it was the time where I wasn't really doing anything.
Yeah.
So since I've gotten my band and we've been working, been messaging Joe, sending him some music. And then he's like, hey, man, we got an opening. Come on down. And then we've gone 7-8 times since then over the last month and a half. And yeah, he had a really nice thing to say one of the gigs. He's like, I've been watching this kid for a long time, and it's been so incredible to watch him progress to this. And I had been going to Nolans as a customer for like 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And it's just now I have a regular spot there. So again, you don't stop doing something and you're in people's faces a little bit.
Well, you got to keep being persistent without being pushy.
Yeah, absolutely. and I totally understand why they didn't want to hire me back then, because I wasn't developed. You know, I could sing, but I couldn't really sing.
Well, it's like, I mean, you don't want, that's kind of how I approach most, you know, potential new clients or connections, is that like, these people don't owe me anything.
Absolutely.
Nobody owes you shit.
And so many other people are trying to get the same thing.
Exactly. And so you have to just, you know, make sure that you're in people's minds for what you want without being annoying or pushy like or expectant.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a very like high hopes, low expectations for pretty much every situation I go into, because then you're never fully disappointed.
It's true.
So you said you want to possibly do a doc, like of going to Romania. Would that be like
Borat style? I think that'd be really good.
Would that be like just a short form type thing, or
it'd probably be, I don't know. It could be an hour and 20 minutes. It depends on how famous I am. If I'm not famous, no one wants to watch me for an hour and 20 minutes. But if things take off and I go back to Romania, feature length. Are they still there? I don't know.
Well, there's that. But realistically, you could almost do that yourself.
Totally.
Like as a short form version. And
take a ref along. I'm sure he'd be down for that.
Yeah. Like, I mean, in today, like, look at how many people are like vlogging and doing these things with $1,500 worth of gear that they picked up. Like I mean, obviously it's not quite the same as going with like a full crew, but realistically too, you could, in theory, do a short form version. I don't know, like that sort of stuff. Total film festival kind of potential. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of thinking about it the wrong way, I think, maybe.
A little bit. But I mean, it's the way I know how to tell my story is through the medium I'm in.
Yeah.
If I were to do something like that and it helped even just a handful of people, that's all. Hey man, that's all I'm in it for.
I'd take a week trip to Romania to shoot some shit.
All right, let's do it. We're gonna get a whole team. I think at some point that's something I want to do regardless of what happens. I've definitely thought about it. I think it would be interesting. And I haven't seen anything like that.
Yeah. You said that you're adopted parents? Adoptive parents. Adopted parents?
Adaptive.
They know a little bit about like your birth mother, right?
Yeah,
like,
just a little bit of information.
But beyond that, you don't know like anything. Do you know her name? Do you know anything like that? Or
nothing
no?
like that. Yeah.
Like
I have some photos of the village and my birth mother and some stuff like that, but that's it. That's all I have to go on.
Yeah, that's heavy, man.
Yeah.
Like,
if I want to like legally do the process, I think I have to contact the Romanian government.
I was gonna say, is there not?
You can't do it through Canada.
Yeah,
I think you have to do it from the other side.
And I've heard other things too, like if you're adopted from within Canada, like you are a Canadian citizen born in Canada and then get adopted to another family in Canada. I think that if my memory serves me correctly, you can get a certain amount of information by requesting it through the government or something, but the other party, like your birth parents or birth family, has to also have sort of like inquired about where you are or where their child is.
Yeah.
And then at that point, they can like put you in touch with each other or give you more information to like locate each other. But if you're not, like if the parents don't necessarily want to know or whatnot, then it's much more challenging. Like you got to do all the legwork yourself. Research. Like I literally can't relate. I don't like that's such a wild sort of thing to know about yourself.
The village I was born in, so there's like a little town part of it, and then we were deeper into the forest. It is the #1 cyber terrorism town in the whole world on the FBI watch list. And some dude, I think it was for ATMs or something, they were taking people's money. Yeah, so #1 cyber terrorism place in the whole world. And I swear to God, one of the guys who got arrested for this, his name was Sergio Papa.
So now you're on the FBI watch list.
Or my dad is in jail.
Yeah. Like as if that.
And I'm next in line for the crime family, and they're just trying to find me, but they have to get through all this government bureaucracy, paperwork.
That sounds not worth it. Sounds like just a weird like dark comedy film.
There we go.
Like we need to leave our criminal empire to
find him.
Adopted Canadian son.
He was 6 weeks old when he left.
He's a jazz singer now.
Yeah. This is great. This is fantastic.
This is a script waiting to be written.
All right, Bill Hader, join us. Please play my adopted father in jail.
So your album, though, your original jazz record, have you released it or launched it or?
Yeah, so it's entitled "Whisky Kisses" off one of the songs that I wrote with Charlie Angus. This fall, actually, later this month, I'm heading back to the studio, Canterbury, with my guys to record a music video with the Doc crew. They're coming to do it for us. So we're going to release a single from the album with the music video. And then next spring, we're going to release this thing no matter what. I mean, the hope is we release the single.
So at this point, the album is not like public yet.
No,
right?
not public yet. We do all of the album and more at our gigs. So that's the only place you can really kind of hear it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not public yet. Next week, we actually do an appearance on CHCH in Hamilton.
Cool.
And we're going to do one of the
around
songs.
The corner.
Yeah, we're just around the corner. So we're going to debut one of the songs live off the floor and talk a little bit about what's going on. So that'll be really cool. But yeah.
So how do you finance this stuff? Like, is this purely self-financed? Is it hugs and favors?
It is basically self-financed. I've been really lucky that Lola and her family have helped because Charlie came in as a songwriter, a partner, and a producer.
Cool.
But also a lot of my money's gone into this. When I do gigs with the guys, they play with many different people.
Yeah.
And sometimes they make no money, sometimes they make tips. But what I've done most every time is guarantee them $100 at least. Every night that I perform with them, just because I need to give them something.
Yeah.
And that's the way it goes. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, it's tough to work for free.
I've been lucky that there was only one night I lost $10. Usually I made it all back in tips. That's kind of been what I've always been trying to do. But yeah, a lot of my own money has gone to this. We haven't had any factor grants, anything like that. We totally could apply for a factor grant to finish this off or get it out there, but then it would just take a lot more time and stuff. I think if we ever need to have a factor grant, something like that for the next album, because we're already planning that, this first album is going to be a great thing for them to see.
Well, it's basically a proof of concept.
Yeah, and we didn't ask for any money.
Yeah. Well, because a lot of these grants in Ontario and just like arts grants in general, they want to see that you are not fucking around.
Yeah. And it's original Canadian content.
Yes. Yeah, which is a big thing.
Yeah. The Great Canadian Songbook. There we go.
Because like they want to know that what they're giving their money to is at least has some sort of like knowledge behind it. Like it's still introductory, but like with film grants, like they want to see that you have gone out and made something at some point. And they're not just giving you like 10 grand for nothing. But at the same time, my problem with like, do you remember Much Fact?
Absolutely.
When it was around, rest in peace, is that like a lot of times they'd give grants to artists who don't need it.
That happens all the time.
It drives me nuts. It's like you got this band with a record label backing the production of the album, and then they go out and do like a music video through Much Fact or something and get like 50 grand. And it's like, what?
You don't need it.
Why not give that to the budding artist who is doing something that they can't afford to do?
Absolutely.
Like the bands that we're getting these like big music video budget or like budget supplements from like Much Fact and stuff were ones that like nothing's coming out of the band members' pockets. This is all backed by a studio, and it's all
very easy.
Yeah, like, and we get this like weird thing where the Canadian government and art funds and stuff want to promote Canadian talent, but they don't necessarily want to take any sort of like ballsy risks on someone who's obviously not going to make a return on investment.
Very true.
It's kind of counterintuitive as to like what the whole program and everything was designed for. And now, I mean, like, I think you would fall into an interesting niche because you're doing something that is not as mass produced nowadays. Like, I think
it's true.
And I think like if you've got this like really solid, how many songs are on the record? 12?
12 songs, 11 of them are brand new.
And you've got 22 plus that are all original.
That are already ready to go that we perform, and then a whole bunch of other stuff that's almost being completed.
Yeah, so so basically you're just going to like jump into the next one.
Yeah, we already have demos of probably most of the songs going on the second one. And Ewan's working right now to he wants to orchestrate it, do like horn section and strings and stuff. So, yeah, we're just taking it to the next step.
Yeah, but I think you'd definitely be able to find some like some arts grants and funding, especially with this first one kind of in your back pocket as like essentially a proof of concept. Like, look, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Give me money.
Yeah.
So.
And here's stuff to show you that we have more.
Yeah.
And also the whole resume we've been building up with getting around in the city and residencies and booking clubs and stuff. I'm kind of known in the city a little bit, not like crazy, but like some people who didn't know about me know about me. And I
now, if you rebranded as Sergio Papa,
right to the mayor's office,
then you might be like, oh, that's Sergio guy.
That's Sergio Papa.
He's in the jazz scene right now.
You hear he's into cyber terrorism?
Like, how long though? The 12-song record that you did, how long ago did you record it, and how long did it take? Like, did you guys do it live off the floor? Were you multi-tracking it? Like, how did you do it? I'm always intrigued as to how different people are producing music.
We recorded it in January, and I wrote all the material from about last September to December. I wrote all the material, and then we just really carried that momentum and recorded it in January. And at the studio, as is the standard with any place, they wanted to put me in the booth, but I very, very specifically requested that I could be on the floor with the guys.
Cool.
So there were some partitions and stuff like that, but I was in the very center, so I could see everybody. We're getting a little bit of a different sound, but that's what all the old school people used to do.
Yeah.
Not that I'm like, if I do this, I'll sound good. It's just like, I really think this is the way music should be made. It's not really done anymore. So we did everything live off the floor. We kept most of it. And for some things that I needed to do, because we only had 3 days.
Yeah.
And we were doing a lot
of material. Was that just an affordability thing?
Affordability.
Yeah.
We had 3 days. We were doing a lot of stuff. So there were some points where my voice was kind of tired. So I went back and we punched in a couple things. But most of everything was just live off the floor. And yeah, it's really funny because now we hadn't really been doing the songs a lot up till then because they'd just been written.
Yeah.
And now we do them all the time and they're just so much better. But that's how it goes. Charlie said something to me. He's like, now that you're getting a lot of gigs and these songs are better, don't feel bad about it when you go and listen to the original album, because the songs are still there and it's a really nice representation of this sound coming out. So it changes naturally. And I think about, Frank Sinatra. He has so many great recordings, but a lot of my favorite versions of his are live performances, just because there's an electricity. Well, it changes.
There's a dirty sort of like raw kind of feel to a live performance or a live off the floor performance.
Absolutely.
It's less. There's something that is appealing about the less polish like that goes into a recording like that.
Yeah.
it feels more human.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, we fixed some things vocally on the album, but most of it is just what I did. And there's some parts of it that I would definitely go back and re-record if I could or wanted to, but I don't. I think it's a really, really cool representation of something that's alive.
Yeah.
And you can go like, oh, that guy is actually singing. And that's okay, because it's a whole feel and a whole way of doing that kind of music that I think at its best, it's presented through that way of doing things.
But that's also a good mentality to have, that knowing what you could have done better on a previous project, or what, like, if you guys had rehearsed more, or played more, or just performed
days
more,
in studio,
or that. Yeah. But looking at a piece of art or a project or something that you're passionate about, and knowing that everything you did during that process you learned from, and is something you can improve upon in the future.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, I go back and stuff I produced like 6 months ago, I cringe at sometimes, because it's just like, it's just like there's things I could have done better. This is why I I direct and edit all my own content, because I'm the only person that I can get mad at then.
I like that. That's good.
I mean, every project I do, every podcast I shoot, every conversation I have, I try to like learn something from it and use that to make something better in the future.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's kind of like how I approach all these various different projects. It should be. And then, because now, when you go into this next recording session, you have this experience behind you, and you know, like, maybe this worked, but this didn't. We should do this, and
we are infinitely better too. I mean, they're not. I'm infinitely better. They're all, because that was great all the time.
The recordings was like almost a year ago at this point.
Yeah,
by the time this podcast comes out, it will have been probably over a year.
Yeah, and the second album and the third album will be done.
No, I don't take that long. So was this like mixed? Like it was recorded live off the floor, but did you do mixing and mastering across the whole thing?
I didn't do it personally. Not you personally. Jeremy Darby mixed it up.
Yeah.
And now we're just in the process of getting it mastered. So we have some really, really fantastic final mixes that we could probably release, because they sound really, really great. But yeah, we're going to master it up. We're going to release it digitally. I think we're doing a small run batch of vinyl, which we'll probably have it like.
Who are you doing that through? Or like,
I don't know yet. There's a couple
just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, there's a few different places I've been researching and been told about, but we're not quite there yet. So it's mulling around in my head.
Yeah.
But we'll probably do like 100 or something like that and sell them at the release party.
So you're just planning on releasing this as like a sort of full album, like all at once?
Yeah.
Because this is a conversation I've had with Del and my buddy RJ, who plays in a band called Capital. We talked about the release structure and how today's music scene is very different than it was
supremely different
20 years ago, because like Del is like, it's for him, it's singles market. Just put out one song at a time. There's no, like 1 to 2 songs at a time, because our attention spans are terrible.
Yeah.
And very seldom are people listening to a full album. However, I think you're targeting a bit of a different demographic.
People love to do that. Also, I think the old school way of doing things, I mean, Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, they'd release like 2 to 3 albums a year.
Yeah. Yeah. When you go back and look at these artists from, I'd say like the 40s through the 70s, some of these like prolific artists were doing like
Bob Dylan.
Yeah. Like the Stranglers even.
Yeah,
100%. Like I was like, just recently I was looking through their Wikipedia page, because I used to listen to them all the time because my dad was super into them. And it was like, fuck, these guys released like 3 albums in like 1978.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell were they like? How did they find time to do it?
So that's what I'm not doing 3 albums a year right now.
Yeah.
You're getting a full album. And if you want to listen to it all, great. If you don't want to, that's also fine. And I don't care. This is how I want to make and release music. You have a full product. Right? I'm not going to tease you. I mean, minus the single we're releasing, which is totally fine.
Is that what you're doing, like a video for?
Yeah.
Cool.
And
is it just a performance-based kind of video, or is it?
Yeah, we're going back to the studio, so it'll be me and the guys. It's just performance-based. It's kind of like I don't know if you've seen any of Leon Bridges' work. Leon Bridges is incredible. I'm going
to YouTube this after.
Soul R&B artist. Very reminiscent of Sam Cooke, especially his first album, Sam Cooke and Jackie Wilson, all these great old singers. And a lot of his music videos are just live off the floor, the guys together. The focus is the music.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're doing. We're not doing a storyline or anything like that. And actually, the song we're releasing it's not one of our jazz crooner expected songs. It's one of the more edgy, funky, dark things
contemporary,
we have.
More style.
Yeah. I think there's like there's a new sound, and I think it's everything that's inside of me is coming out, and we're trying to really see where it takes us. It's entitled "The Way She Moves."
Like, what motivates a lot of your songwriting in this style? Like, does it have that sort of like classic jazz? Because I haven't heard it, like that very classic jazz kind of feel. Or is it like kind of mixing? Like, do you genre bend at all with it? Like,
we genre bend with a lot of the new stuff, like the way she moves, and there's a song we just wrote called "You Are the Light in the Way," which it's got like a groovy funk, a little bit of Motown infused, a little bit of like early rock and roll, just because I love that music so much.
Yeah.
And I expected to just be doing jazz crooner stuff, but then all my influences started coming out in my songwriting without me trying to do it. And I was like, I'm gonna follow this and see where it takes me. So we have a lot of multi-genre influenced songs, and then we also have the classic standards that are inspired by all the songwriters that I love from that time period. We have this one song that I wrote with Charlie and Ewan entitled "Lemon Drop Stars," and it's inspired by a songwriter named Hoagie Carmichael. He wrote a wonderful old song called "Stardust" and "Georgia," and so many great old songs. And I think he's one of the underrated songwriters. He's not mentioned as much as like Cole Porter or the Gershwins, that kind of thing. So yeah, I love a lot of the old standards that are lesser known. I'm not listening or performing really like "Fly Me to the Moon" or New York, New York, and that kind of stuff. I love the lesser known gems because the Great American Songbook is extensive, and there's such beautiful material in there. So that's what I latch onto when I'm writing my songs, and there's references to other songs. There's feels of other songs, but it's all something new coming out. And I didn't do those things on purpose. When I realized that I was a songwriter, I had songs and I just didn't know how to get them out. And then I worked with Ewan and Charlie, and it just sort of came flooding out.
Yeah.
All those things were naturally placed in there. It's been really interesting seeing that happen. Because for the longest time, I thought I'd just be in the music side of things, just getting up there and singing the old classics like everybody else.
Yeah.
But now I'm actually bringing forth new music. And I think about the people who I look up to, like Frank Sinatra, or Bobby Darin, or, Peggy Lee or Tony Bennett or Chet Baker. When they were making that music, when they started out, that was the only music, basically. Yeah. But throughout their careers, they always performed that music, but they were also always finding new songwriters and trying to find new songs and trying to perform the music of that time. So someone asked me this a little while ago. It's like, what do you think they'd be doing now in this current market? Right. And I don't really know. It's a hard thing to answer, and I don't think it's really helpful. But the one thing I think they'd be doing is trying to do something new, because that's what they were doing back then.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited and surprised and happy that I've found my own voice through this. And I think that's the best way I can give back to the music and the people that influenced me so much, is by giving something new.
But is music too commercialized now for people to experiment as liberally as you are? Because so much of it is
yes and no. Yeah,
it's like, how do we make as much money as possible?
Yeah,
and that's what.
I probably won't be doing that, but that's totally fine. I don't care. There's a market for it, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
And if I can get to the top of that market with what I have, I'm going to be doing okay.
Because it's great, like, performance music, because I feel like it's not I don't know. Maybe I'm just like an old man now too. Like
I am too. Look at this sweater. Jesus. My gosh.
But I mean,
I
like,
took this off a guy in Parkdale.
I go to like a bar or something, and there's like this like a rock band playing, like just at a Irish pub or something on like a Wednesday when it's just jam night or something. And I'm like, this is too loud. I can't like I mean,
I
I'm
want
not.
to talk.
Yeah, I want to communicate with people, and I mean, like, it sucks to like talk with people during a performance, but at the same time, it's like it's not just overpowering and deafening, and it's much more just like ambient and feel good. And that's like not something that happens in every sort of live music performance. We've actually, Melissa and I have been to a couple jazz brunches.
Nice.
Which are like awesome. And it's very ambient. Like it's not necessarily
you're not
like,
listening.
You're not, you're not like, you're plotting them, but you're not, they're background music, but
you're not dropping your eggs to clap.
Yeah. But I couldn't help but have you ever watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
There's an episode where they go to jazz brunch.
Yes,
and they kind of make fun of it. And that's all I was thinking. I'm just like, this is so cool, but it's just so funny that this is actually a thing, because the first experience I ever had with jazz brunch was Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
There you go. Now you're in it.
Yeah,
you're
now
living it.
I'm at the jazz brunch now. And
which character
I was like,
were you?
Some people have said I resemble Andy Samberg, but I don't know if I do. Apparently my mentality or my
I can hear it.
Yeah, the way I speak kind of, you're sitting across from Andy Samberg right now. I mean, I'd like to be as successful as Andy Samberg.
You'll get there.
It was very cool. It was like, and it was just, I think, two guitarists, like, but they were like jazz guitarists, and jazz guitar is such a really cool,
it is
like subgenre.
It is fantastic.
You don't hear a lot.
Oh man.
Because
I think jazz guitar.
Because I think that a lot of people, and maybe this is like just a misconception about jazz music, is a lot of people affiliate it with the weirdly timed
like
kind
bebop
of where like it
stuff.
Doesn't feel like the drums are perfectly in time with the guitar, but it's,
everyone's doing their own thing.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily like that. Like there's all these, like, jazz is such a huge encompassing sort of genre of music that I think it kind of gets sometimes a bad rep or gets made fun of because of certain subgenres that just get kind of blown up and made fun of. Yeah.
Like we were even talking about this a little while ago. I'm saying I'm a jazz singer because it's, I guess, the closest thing to what I am.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of the stuff we're doing, it's not technically a jazz singer.
Yeah.
So it can be anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting.
And a lot of my recent experiences with jazz music have been through Damien Chazelle's movies.
Yes.
Which like I loved Whiplash and La La Land.
Yeah. Fantastic. Especially Whiplash.
Whiplash was terrific.
Goddamn. Yeah. Very reminiscent of my George Brown days.
Oh, really? Like what, with Fletcher?
A little bit.
J.K. Simmons was like that. Was that sort of the... It's probably a little extreme, but...
It was just under that, but there were moments where it was just...
Really?
The heart of that.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's super fucked up. Like that's why they got rid of that person. The mentality.
Said professor.
Yeah.
But I think that's just like people taking shit too seriously. Taking what should be... like an art, or like, you can be technically good as an actor, as a musician or whatever, but that's not necessarily what I think people should strive for.
No, not at all.
Like technical perfection.
Not
like that's kind of moronic.
Yeah.
especially in a field that is so goddamn subjective.
One of the first days with this teacher, the only thing we had to do for this class was everybody got up and talked about themselves.
Yeah.
And he'd stop you and point out things about you that were wrong. So he's like, one girl is like, you're really ashamed that you're on the heavier side, right? And like,
brutal.
This girl cried. And then I was talking, and he's like, why do you sound like a shitty 1950s television host? And I was like, fuck you.
Ruthless.
Yeah. I forget what else he said. That stuck out. And then me watching other people get up there and him just like taking them apart. But that was the idea. Take someone apart.
Yeah.
Get rid of their individuality so they can be a blank canvas and then be an actor.
That sounds like horseshit.
Sounds like horseshit.
That is bullshit.
And all the exercises I had to do of being like a tree and shit.
Yeah. You have to get beaten up in any of these art forms.
Absolutely.
Because there's, whether you're an actor, musician, artist, whatever, you're going to face a shitload of rejection.
Yeah.
And it's going to be most of the time out of your control.
Yeah.
But that like it can't be abuse, because that is
it bordered on that. Yeah.
These art forms are 100% subjective. Like you, and what I might love about a certain song, someone else might just fucking detest. Like Melissa likes country music, and I detest it. I cannot stand it. It hurts me.
One of my favorite jazz drummers, musicians of all time, Buddy Rich.
Yeah.
Detested country music. Yeah, man. And he was going into the hospital for, I believe, his heart surgery. Or no, it was a brain tumor. And he was going in for his surgery, which he would not come out of. And they're wheeling him into the operation room. And the nurse is like, "Oh, quickly, Mr. Rich, are you allergic to anything?" And he looked up and he said, country music. Western. And then he died.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm gonna correct myself a little bit. I hate stadium country and like contemporary country.
Yeah.
I like
radio country.
Yeah, I like old,
man,
classic
Patsy
country.
Cline,
yeah, like
Willie Nelson,
and that because it had
Cash.
Well, do you know Bo Burnham? Like, have you heard his country song?
I have, man.
Like that's and that is it sums up it was exactly
everything.
what I have always wanted to express is that song, because commercialized country is made for the sole purpose of making money.
It's true.
And I think that's why I also have a lot of problems with a lot of pop music on the radio. Because it is so commercialized, and a lot of times it doesn't like I can feel when a song has been written from a real place. Yes. And not from a dollar place. Yeah. Totally. Or just a song that was written purely out of like skill. Because the only pop singer that I'm like big pop singer that I'm a fan of in any capacity is Sia.
Okay. I don't know Sia's work.
No?
Oh,
okay.
Send me some shit.
Yeah. Well, we can take a quick glance at it. She's an Australian singer. Okay. Pop star. She's written songs for she's like Max Martin, basically. Okay. Like, but she also writes her own stuff and performs it. Yeah. And she is so wickedly talented at writing music, but it all feels like the stuff that she writes for herself. Oh shit. The stuff that she writes for herself, at least, feels genuine, even though it's totally like hook, catchy pop music, but it's like real. And then I can tell when another singer, like she's done stuff for like Rihanna and shit like that, is doing a song that she wrote, like that she wrote for that artist. Absolutely. You can just hear that influence, and that's when it's just like, I don't buy it because this is not your song. You don't feel this. This is not you. This was a money driven thing. And I mean, good for Sia that she can, land those sorts of songwriting gigs that I'm sure
definitely helps.
Very lucrative.
Yeah.
But yeah, like but music is so subjective. Going back to being abused by people, music is so subjective, and it's an art in general that you can't be like abusive, because then if you're shitting on somebody's work for basically who they are, then you're shitting on it for the wrong reasons.
Yes. And it could deter them from
pursuing something in the future.
I could have easily been like, all right, okay.
Yeah. Like, cool. and I don't know if that's a method for like weeding out the weak or some shit.
Maybe, but even that's bullshit.
But even that's horseshit, because you can progress past your weaknesses.
Absolutely.
And abuse is not how you get that done.
No. But it's unfortunate that happens more often than not.
Yeah.
In a lot of different places, businesses, and even in personal lives.
Yeah. Well, we've also got this like crazy, like, cancel culture too, right? Where like it's like almost a risk to put anything out there out of the fear that for some reason someone might find it offensive in some capacity, which is also a challenge. Yeah. That's why I got to watch all the shit I say on here.
I know. I don't think anyone's going to get me for jazz singing.
No. But anyway, thanks for coming out, brother. I appreciate it.
It's so nice to see you again.
You as well. After so a decade
I'm
and
only
half.
like a little bit taller. Just like a tiny amount.
Yeah. You still look very similar.
And my voice dropped an awful lot.
Yeah. That tends to happen, but
you just have more facial hair than when you were 12.
Yeah. That'll happen as well. All right. Well, thanks, dude.
Thanks, man.
sweeter than the last. Won't you hold me fast? It will always be like this is, with your whiskey kisses